My name is Professor Albert Wingate. A few years ago, I was instructing my class in regards to the layout and functions of white blood cells. During this discourse, I began to feel queer. My pulse raced and vision blurred. I had experienced some kind of heart episode and had fallen into a coma-like state. When I finally bestirred, I was informed that my behavior was one of absolute quandary. I ambled here and there, curiously examining any item of insignificance that came into my purview. One could say that I was reacting to the world as if I were a newborn infant, bemusing myself with new wonders. As I explored the vestiges of my enclosure, I further ventured into my study and initiated a desperate and grotesque gambit to collect every article of writing within reach. Long past the last doomed rays of light percolated into my chamber of knowledge, I finally expired and laid limply upon my desk. Though I was weary and disoriented, I observed that my present surroundings weren't one that I, or any man, could be familiar with. And certainly not one any sane man would want to be familiar with. Motivated by an unknowable desire, I took off after the quaint fellow. However, during my pursuit, I came to the realization that what should have been a brisk pace felt more like wading through a room of chest-high waters. The abhorrent truth was surreal. I was man no longer. Waking from the horror of eldritch machinations beyond the scope of man or God, I was certain that if anyone had been nearby, they could have vicariously experienced my terrors through my traumatic waking ravings. As I was questing for any semblance of understanding behind what I was experiencing, I utilized the library of the college from which I professed. However, my recent experiences had transformed me into a meek introvert, and fearing the piercing glares of my peers, I fled. Anxiety and fears aside, there are a plethora of locales that would allow for decent accommodations and access to information. Any of these refuges would suffice. Their objective became clearer with time. It appeared that they desired a record of my thoughts and knowledge. I'm unsure if flattery is a concept they could fathom, but it is one that certainly comes to mind to an academic. This became an absorbing pattern. In the protective luminescence of the sun, I would roam the city in search of tomes of knowledge that I could then put to paper for my strange friends in the evening's embrace. Over the course of this epoch, I was permitted to tap into the minds of other lost souls, whom also shared their thoughts and ideas. Their enterprises allowed me to glean a number of details which provided further context and understanding of my current predicament. The souls of future past recounted every era that ever was, life in the Dark Ages, the precipice before the industrial world, and beyond. However, man weren't the only subject of chronicling. There too were stories and experiences belonging to my captors, They grandiosely referred to themselves as the Great Race of the Yith. One such shilling of knowledge that piqued my interest were their immeasurable age. The Yith had been curiously exploring our cosmos since well before the dawn of man. What had initially been espoused as a safe, habitable world, the Yith soon found their antagonists were already occupying their latest discovery, Earth. These abominable creatures were a monstrous race of parasites whom the Yith referred to as flying polyps. Grand as this was, there were trifling details when measured against one horrible caveat. Though the Yith are an amazing species, they are a fugitive race, fleeing from a cosmic cancer. Battered, but not defeated, the Yith locked away the surviving polyps deep into the Earth's darkest recesses. Yet, despite their power, there was no ultimate victory for the Yith. Life in the universe is sparse, and the Yith had come across a little blue world brimming with the stuff of existence. With this in mind, they hatched a plan. With the imminent threat of the polyps looming large, the Yith came to the consensus that if they couldn't save life on Earth, they would at least save its knowledge. Mission in mind, they erected a massive vaulted library to store the entirety of Earth's history and achievements. Utilizing their otherworldly powers, the Yith began to tap into the minds of Earth's most advanced residents, us. We were then put to the mission to individually gather information in our waking hours and to record our findings in our dreams. After what had felt like an eternity, the power that the Yith exerted over me dissipated. At long last, I was myself again. Now, with my life somewhat back in order, I have wasted no time in writing my fantastic experiences in the Yith's world. What you have before you, my dear reader, is all the proof I possess. Whether you believe me or not does not change the reality that there is far more beneath the veneer of reality than any of us would ever wish to know.
Jesus. Hello, Robert? Good evening. This is Christopher. Do you happen to remember that artifact we found at Site 2F last week? Well, I think I might have found its owner.